Marilyn Wilson is a tireless promoter of Vancouver and its fashion talent. From emerging artists to high-end fashion designers who sell to Barney's New York or to Holt Renfrew, her Vancouver Fashion eZine is unique in that it is artist-driven and shot locally. It is my pleasure to welcome Marilyn Wilson to Studio 4 to tell us more about your eZine dream.
And I am honored to be here. This is my first television interview.
Really?
And it's
Ever?
you. I'm so excited, and it's you.
Did you take a calm? A calm pill?
They gave me peppermint tea backstage.
They did.
They're
Good.
very good to me.
So you're okay, but you've
Yep.
done a lot of interviewing from this side of the bench. So, how did this all begin? Your interest in fashion?
Nope. I started out actually studying counseling and drug abuse. I have a third of my master's. It was too depressing. So I did a variety of things, and when the kids finally didn't need me, I answered a Craigslist ad from a New York magazine to write. And what I found is my passion is interviewing people. I love hearing their stories. I am so privileged in what I do, and I get the opportunity then to make their life better by mentoring them. So for me, some of my writers, it's about the fashion, but for me, it's the people that we promote. We have the best talent here and the nicest people here, and we're really privileged.
We are privileged, and we have some designers here that are so hot.
Yep.
And you know that.
Yeah.
And our artistic scene in this town, our artists, our photographers, our visual artists, our performing artists, wow.
Yes.
So how does this work, the eZine?
We started out, like I said, through Craigslist, all volunteers, and 9 issues a year. We promote designers, accessories, fashion professionals, students, but it's all about the people. So about a month before an issue comes out, whoever is willing to work that time takes an assignment, and they're on their own. They have total charge of their shoot, their team, their concept. If it all comes in black and white, if it doesn't matter. They have control of their artwork.
Okay, mostly online.
Well, it comes out 9 issues a year online.
Okay.
And then once a year, every September, we put entire year content into a magazine, a print edition. And it's only available locally at this point because it's so heavy.
Well, it is heavy, and it's so beautifully shot, and the stories are great. It's, if you didn't even like fashion, just like great pictures, it's here. It's art.
I have a favorite story. I walked into a salon.
Lux, baby, Lux.
I walked into a store that had probably a late 60s European man sitting there reading the magazine. And I went up and I said, "Do you enjoy that?" He said, "Of course, it's on artists, it's on people." Yeah. I understand that. It's telling me about their journeys and their artistic inspiration. And he said, "How fun is this?" This is just a totally unique concept in the fashion world, because usually it's got lots of fill and what to buy, and this is only on our talent.
Right.
Even
fashion, music, art.
Most of the illustrations in there are provided by design schools locally. We're the only magazine that features a design student from one of the 6 local schools every month. And every issue that comes out, now we have 1-year issues, contain all our online content and have over 150 artists' work represented.
Yes, well, I see you have Jacqueline Counoir, JC Studios. You're wearing
this and the
She
pants.
dresses me.
I know, she dresses me. Shannon dresses me.
Well, good. But Rosemary,
who's
the designer and has been in this town for some time.
Yeah. She is my mentor in many ways. When we did our launch last fall, I actually recognized her contribution to us and to me personally by giving her a scrapbook of letters from all the people who had worked with her over 25 years. She told me from the start, you start where you're at and you build from there. And her first fashion show, she actually ended up sick in the bathroom afterwards. She was so nervous.
No.
And when she told me that, I realized I can do it. It's all about learning and putting yourself out there. Every article in our magazine as well goes by the person interviewed to make sure the picture is correct. They can come back and say, "That quote didn't come out quite right, could I adjust it?" And so we get a lot of interviews because people trust us to put the right picture out for them. They don't say, oh. Another favorite story, my first interview, somebody had done this beautiful article on this designer with all the silhouettes. And I walked in and I set it down. I said, "I'm very new, I really can't do that." And I said, "I want to interview, but I want you to be aware I'm not there yet." And she said, "I didn't say that, so it's okay. Let's start."
Let's start again.
People are so warm, and they share with me, and they have control, so they trust me. And I learn from everybody. I am just so honored to be a part of the community.
Well, on your list, your picture list is Jason Matlow.
Yes.
Great designer,
full of energy, works so hard. I think one year he went on 35 trips. He just designs so quickly. He is so full of talent. He is just one of our rising stars. Yeah.
Very much so. And on Wednesday night, I'm part of a fashion show,
Yes.
a gala glam give show for ovarian cancer.
Yes.
Not just me, like many others.
Yes.
You know, Vicky Gaboreau and Jody Vance, and there's many who we're models, but we're not going down a runway or anything, believe me. But the designer who's doing it is Malena Grotrin, who is like Danish and classic.
She does amazing corsets. She does a shirt dress that one of my writers says is the best in the business. One of the negatives is I don't get to do all the interviews. So I read the articles when they come in sometimes, and you go, oh, I wish I'd been there for this one.
Well, because every designer has a story, as you know, about how they got into it, what school they go to. Catherine Soucy, the Sans Soucy, she does very edgy clothes that are kind of recycled, aren't they? Doesn't she do a lot of recycling, eco work, I should say, old hosiery and stuff, but
she was
much more exciting than that.
She was actually in school at Capilano studying textiles and was how to reuse things and learned how to stabilize nylons so they wouldn't run. Oh. So she buys reclaimed nylons that are going to the dump. Something's wrong with them. She stabilizes them, she cuts them apart, she dyes them, she silk screens them, and then when she goes to make something, she starts with a dress form, a pair of scissors, and pins. And she shapes the pieces and assembles them on the dress form one at a time. It takes 2 weeks from start to finish to complete one dress.
How great. Now, of course, some of our regulars, Ivan Sayers was featured in your magazine, historian, costume collector.
Do you want a story about him?
Sure.
He got a degree from the University of BC in classical archaeology and went to the employment office and they said, you're unhireable. So he started collecting. I can't
wait to tell him I know.
Oh, it's in there. He went to the secondhand stores in the morning and then would sell his finds to the vintage stores. He was living in East Van in this very old house with no heat. And he would sit with a $300 Victorian shawl around his shoulders. He'd have his feet in the oven, eating a 69-cent box of Kraft macaroni and cheese, very proud that he had his priorities right.
Wow. Wow, so he's a Kraft guy. Well, then I can have him for dinner. You know, there's one woman, all the people in fashion are not 12. No. There's a Laura Maria,
my favorite.
Is it Wiener? 40 years in fashion. She's in her 90s now.
She is fabulous. She loves her life. Her husband's fabulous. She actually had to leave Germany because her dad was Jewish, and she married her husband in Shanghai, and they fled Shanghai because he had written anti-communist things and Mao was coming into town. Right. So they were going to go to Montreal. They landed in Vancouver and had no money. Couldn't get a job, so the head of the Vancouver Stock Exchange gave them their first loan to open their shop in Kerrisdale, and she was 70 when she retired. She had the same customer at the end she had at the start. Her first customer was her last.
How great.
And she's 92 now, and I have never met a more positive soul. It was like walking into a room of sunshine.
Art inspires, there's no question. No question. Now, the Mizuko's, Raphael and Lisa Marie, they're in New York. He's the hot photographer. She's a hot photographer, right?
Yep.
They photograph music.
A swimsuit. He's always in the swimsuit edition. They are local. People don't know that. They started out here. She was originally a makeup artist. They went all over the world, and when they landed in New York, they couldn't find a place to stay. And so they saw this place in total darkness, felt the walls, and said, we'll take it. And the guy above them turned out to be an agent and has been his agent ever since. Lisa Marie stepped behind the camera. She's the go-to photographer for classical musicians. And her favorite shoot, she had a rock, a violinist, and the violin, and she says, let me help you up in the rock. So her hands were full, so she put the violin, the hideously expensive, between her legs.
Fine, this Stradivarius. Great.
And the agent and the violinist both turned white before she realized what she'd done.
See, no wonder. Well, she's obviously not a classical musician.
No,
She's
no.
a photographer.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, this is just a marvelous effort.
Yeah.
Marvelous effort. And I know a labor of love for you because you used some of the money when your mother died to put it together. And this comes out once a year?
End of September. I always throw this out there, we do a lot of charity fundraising. I come, I set up, I bring a float, you keep half of the proceeds. We raised over $4,500 last year for charity.
How great.
So I'm always there for them.
How great. Well, I hope you can come on Wednesday night when we raise money for ovarian
that would be
cancer
wonderful.
at
I'll do
Burke's.
my best.
For sure.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to meet you. Marilyn Wilson.